Okay, we're back, everyone. It's Gerald coming right back here at you. And I'll tell you what, we've got more great things coming up this month because a lot of great people are sharing their thoughts on Marvel, their Marvel memories, and how it actually ties into Endgame. Our good friend, our man in the know, Anthony Barberin, I'll be talking to him about the NBA playoffs, but he's also going to drop a little bit of knowledge in regards to his thoughts on that Marvel question as well coming up later in the program. First, but first, I've got a great friend of mine here as well. He is one of the guys behind Voice from the Underground. I'm sorry, I can't do that little Voice from the Underground like you do on your commercial and whatnot. But it is one of the best shows out there, period. If you want to go ahead and listen to three great guys talking about various things from pop culture, politics, and so many other great subjects, so many other great subjects that are out there that, that really just are on the tips of the tongue of everybody out there, including, like I said, politics, life style changes, pop culture, just you name it, they cover it all. It is the Voice from the Underground podcast, and it's my good friend Dutch. Dutch, just please, man. Just always great to have you here. Always great to have you back, and I want to hear those Marvel memories.
Hey, thank you very much, Gerald. I appreciate it. You guys are such a pleasure to have as a podcast friend. So thank you very much again for having us on, having me on the show, at least at the moment.
Oh, no problem. I got to get your, your brethren over here as well. TJ and Haas, you guys always make a great team. I always love being on your show. And I'm definitely going to get them on very soon with their Marvel thoughts.
Yeah, we love having you. I know TJ has been itching to come back on the Pop Culture Cosmos. So, but you know what? It's his fault because he's the one who's absentee half the time. So it's on you. The onus is on you, TJ Johnson.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, Endgame. So big freaking April, first of all. You have not only a ton of stuff going on with sports. We just wrapped up the NCAAs. We have the NFL draft. We have the playoffs starting. We have Shazam that came out a few days ago, which was really good. We have Game of freaking Thrones starting on Sunday, and topping it all off, man, Avengers Endgame. So, real quick, I was wondering, have you read the comic?
As far as the Infinity Gauntlet, or
the Gauntlet and Infinity War, yeah, the two-part. It's two omnibuses.
I've read the comics as far as I know about as far as the whole background into it. Gamora's part in as far as her actually wielding the Infinity Gauntlet and actually reducing
Nebula, right?
Yeah, exactly. Nebula, as far as just basically going in and controlling the whole part of it. A great part of the story was her actually getting the Infinity Gauntlet away from Thanos. But yes, absolutely a great story. I haven't read the prequel yet to Endgame, but I'm curious to get it at some point real soon.
So I wish that I could say that Guardians of the Galaxy, which by the way is not anywhere near the top of my list of favorite Marvel movies. Those two movies are in the lower half, let's say. I'm hoping he does a better job on Suicide Squad. But in those movies, they introduce, one of the end credit scenes, they introduce what we would assume to be Adam Warlock. And I am hoping that at some point in time during this movie, we get to see the actual Adam Warlock come into play here. Because if they go through the entire Infinity War storyline without any mention of Adam Warlock, I'll be slightly disappointed, even if it's just the end credit scene. It's got to be there in some capacity.
But then again, they can't show off Silver Surfer, and he was a major storyline, major part of the storyline as well.
He was. Silver Surfer also was. That one, they have an excuse though. They didn't own the rights to him.
Not until now.
Yeah, they had every right to use Adam Warlock and just kind of decided not to. I also think that there's going to be some sort of, I don't know. I don't know if they'd have time to go back and refilm an end credits scene at this point in time, like maybe in the last 3 weeks or so, but we'll have to see. That the excitement level for that is just off the charts. So as far as my favorite Marvel movies go, I have a 1 and a 1A. One of them probably doesn't tie into Infinity War all that much because to my eye, Gerald, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is the best film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's
Ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding, ding. You got it, man.
it is a film, and that's the reason why. But Robert Redford is Robert Redford. I mean, he's just freaking good. You know, the introduction of Falcon in that movie is a big piece of that movie. It's just, to me, I don't really see how there's going to be a ton, because that was Hydra, right? And like Hydra's a storyline that's really just, maybe it's been subjected to the annals of Agents of Shield. I don't know, because I stopped watching that in season 2. I thought it was a ripoff of Heroes, but you know, it could be going on still there. But more by and large, Hydra is gone. My 1A, on the other hand, is Black Panther, the second best film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and by far the film with the most social impact. Okoye is really the only character right now who is alive. So, or the only character of note, I should say, that is alive. We don't know what's going on with Shuri. Shuri her face appeared in the trailer as
No,
on the board.
she's been confirmed to be dusted.
She has been confirmed. Okay.
Yeah, and the posters that came out confirmed that, because she was listed as she was in all the dusted posters of the individuals that had fallen and had been dusted were shaded very dark.
I am going to bite my lip and say we'll see, because we don't, because they didn't show that happen. I don't know, because they showed her right next in the clip on the trailer. They showed her right next to Ant-Man, who was also thought to have been dusted, but he was caught in the quantum realm. So I think that there's a reason why those two guys' faces showed up on screen at the same time, because they're the people who they think are gone, but perhaps are not. And we all know, don't trust the Russos, right? Just like don't trust Game of freaking Thrones. As soon as you fall in love with someone, they die. But Okoye, I think, is going to play at least some sort of a role in this movie. Obviously, I don't think she's going to play as big of a role as your main 5. You know, the 5 or 6 original Avengers from Avengers 1, who are still, ironically, all of them still around.
I think only M'Baku was still the only other major individual.
Yeah,
it was actual living at the end. Although he's too busy making hit films like Us, so he may have not been around for Endgame. Hopefully he was, because I do love his character.
You may not talk here. I will eat your children.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I will feed you to my children, whatever it was they said. Yeah. Just kidding. We're vegetarians. But yeah, I think that the movie, obviously, that's going to tie into Endgame the most is obviously going to be the last film that just came out, Captain Marvel, and then probably even Ant-Man, which was the film before that, because the quantum realm is going to play into this quite a bit. I actually am a huge fan of the Ant-Man films. I have the Ant-Man films very high. I know that is not typical for most people who are MCU fans, but I mean, I'm a fan of comedies to begin with. I think that all of the folks that were all the actors in that movie are stuff that are in other stuff that I like. So I do like that movie quite a bit. I love the scene where, you know, they're talking and they're really fast and they're doing the flashbacks and putting the Hispanic actor's voice, I forget his name, Michael something.
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena onto, you know, as the super dope 5 bitch, you know. Oh, you got to bleep that out. Sorry, I swore there. But that's what he said. So that will play in quite a bit with the quantum realm. But I mean, it's just so hard to say, Gerald. I think that the main thing that I think about Endgame is Endgame's going to give you, and I think that this is a parallel to Game of Thrones here, is they're going to give you what you are going to assume to be the bitter end in the middle of the movie. Then it's going to flip on its head, and then be prepared for another twist in the closing seconds of the film. I mean, and for me to be able to tell you what is going to be those twists and who's going to live and who's going to die, I don't know. Although I do think, circling back to my favorite film, The Winter Soldier, I'm by and large pretty convinced that Cap is not going to make it through this film, and that either Bucky or Sam Falcon is going to pick up the mantle of Captain America, at least for the next Captain America film, if not, too much longer beyond that. So that's my thought on that. But I mean, the level of anticipation is just stupid high.
That it is. That it is. Although Falcon and Winter Soldier have been confirmed within the first year of Disney Plus, as announced
That's
earlier
right.
on Thursday. So there's going to be a lot in store for those guys once they hopefully come back from the dust, unless they said it in the past, as was as what has been rumored with Black Widow's movie coming up. So that is put in the past, and even Hawkeye's miniseries that is rumored, heavily rumored, and just about confirmed as well for Disney Plus coming up. So a lot of interesting things going on. I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to Winter Soldier, it does one thing as far as tying in itself to Endgame. And I will probably state this when I talk about it with Josh later this month, as far as understanding what he wants to go ahead and see out of Endgame, and myself as well. Is I'm just going to say it helps realize for the audience the moral conundrums that Captain America, Steve Rogers, always seems to get himself into, and how he continues to find that moral compass and that high road he continues to take no matter what is thrown at him. He could always is always invited to always go the easy way out, and he always chooses not to. He always chooses the path that he thinks is the most righteous path, and for him, it's worked so far. But again, we might see him make several decisions as well during the course of Endgame based on that. But that, it might not work. It might. You never know. We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I mean, also was what the 9th film, the maybe 8th film in the lineage of Marvel. So God, time just flies. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. But you raise a salient point as usual. I just can't. I cannot unwrap my mind around the fact that Chris Evans is not going to be Captain America anymore. I mean, I could be wrong. It's a little bit disappointing to me because he's such a good Captain America. I mean, he just is he's such a perfect guy for that particular role, which has been one of the things, by the way, that as DC has struggled with, is getting the right guy in the role. And Marvel has done such a fantastic job with this. I mean, if you take Robert Downey out of the role of Iron Man, you can't recast that. I mean, you just really can't. Maybe Suri, but you really can't. And I mean, without Robert Downey Jr., which is probably my third favorite Marvel film, by the way, is the original Iron Man. You don't have an MCU without Robert Downey Jr. because it doesn't take off and get as popular as it does. And his cameo at the end of a very poor Hulk movie with a very great lead actor, surprisingly. So there's a lot of changes in store here, but I can't help but be excited for the second half of whatever the next stage of what Marvel has in store for us. So, but I can't look past Game of Thrones though either. Doggone it. It's right here.
So. And it's going to be right around the corner for us this weekend, coming to HBO and to millions of fans all around the world.
Yes.
My friend, one last question to ask you, and that is, why do people need to tune in to your awesome podcast, Voice from the Underground?
Well, Voice from the Underground, we are, as we say on the show, a gnarly spirited, super dope, and often mind-numbing juxtaposition of politics and pop culture coming straight from the underground to your earballs. And what that basically means is we take something fun from pop culture, from sports, from movies, TV shows, comic books, that sort of stuff, and we sort of mesh it and mix it and mash it together with social issues. Like, we cover topics such as politics or race relations, and difficult topics such as that, equality, injustices in the world, from both political perspectives. We're not fans of the gentleman in the White House, but at the same time, that doesn't make us, we're certainly not anti-conservative. So we like to bring people on who have viewpoints that may differ from our own, and talk about things like, for example, we did a show about a month and a half ago that juxtapose Black Panther with U.S. politics, and we're going to do another one in this series, the second one in this series with the Ginger Geek Matt Delhauer, who, by the way, if you're not familiar with the Ginger Geek podcast, listeners, you need to listen to the Ginger Geek podcast. It's just a fantastic psychology of movies podcast, and we're going to do Zootopia and look at the social constructs of Zootopia and all of the the stereotypes and narratives in there, and sort of juxtapose those with what's going on in the world around us today. So we just like to have fun, and thank you so much for everything you've done for us and for being such a strong friend of the program and coming on. I think more than anyone, I think you've been on the show 7 or 8 times, especially for our fantasy stuff. So thank you to you, Gerald.
Oh, no problem. Glad to hop on the show anytime you guys need it. You're always welcome back. I got to get your 2 compadres on here as well very soon to talk about their Marvel thoughts going into Endgame.
They're far better than me.
Oh, no. You're great, my friend. You're great as well. So I'm just glad if everybody can go ahead and check out Voice from the Underground, the podcast, and Ginger Geek podcast as well whenever they get the chance. My friend Dutch, Voice from the Underground, just so great to have you on, sharing your memories of Marvel and how it's going to tie into Endgame. Looking forward to it myself later this month, Avengers Endgame. Cannot thank you enough for sharing your time with us and, of course, being part of the pop culture cosmos.
Thank you.